It is April 21st, 2022. Today, in New Jersey, they made something legal, or it goes into effect. I'm not quite sure. I've watched several clips of this. All of a sudden, at 6 p.m., they switched to a different store, a different location. At the different location, because I've been sitting here wondering all day, I'm like, all right, I haven't heard anybody say anything about crossing a border, because that was a big thing. Like that would be like this oxymoron kind of a thing. Like, okay, so you have this tri-state area, there's some kind of tri-state agreement, but if Jersey's the one who's allowing it, and like, how do you avoid entrapment of the unsuspecting? Especially considering that this is supposed to be like a new leaf, excuse the pun, and appeasing some of the whatever to make it so it doesn't feel so criminal if people want to partake. All right, so I'm following along, and then, but they don't mention the thing about going to visit New Jersey or to buy it from one of these these things. So, and then all of a sudden at 6 p.m. they finally addressed it, how the police look at it, which I thought was really fabulous. So thank you for that enlightening whatever. I will also mention that it did not go unnoticed, that it looked like, I usually see Governor Phil Murphy sitting at a desk. I don't normally see him standing, but he's extremely tall when looking at some of the others. And I'm just like, oh. And so I also noticed his lapel pin, and he had a pocket square today. I did not miss the showing of respect of whatever is in whatever. So that I noticed. Because there's a lot of pieces that go into even it seems like such a minute thing. It's a plant, there's a lot of moving pieces to just a plant. And I'm not talking about flower hummingbird piece. I'm talking about just in the sales and the multi-diverse set of gardening tasks that are now in the Garden State and elsewhere. And I did a piece about this purple bed this morning, and there's only one person allowed to squeeze me, just one, and to call me that, as in like main squeeze. Other than that, this purple bed with like some kind of double compression where there's something on top and then there's these imaginary purple mattress overhead pushing down on my shoulders and my ability to stand upright. That's a totally different conversation. But it is what it is. So everybody is crystal clear on, while there may be meadow representatives out about, and while there are blades of grass for sure, and I might seem cute to a blade of grass, I definitely have a flower hummingbird at Birds and the Bees issue that I'm not supposed to talk about. So I don't. But one of these pieces that they put on this evening at 6 was very intriguing because it's like, it's something that I couldn't figure out on my own.
In New Jersey, and the first day of sales for legalized recreational marijuana. A lot of people lined up to buy pot today. The sale of marijuana is expected to generate tens of millions of dollars in tax revenue for the state. Eyewitness News reporter Crystal Kren.
So I should say that the line is all the way down the building. They highlighted, I suppose in honor of somebody this morning, the Elizabeth location. All day, it's been all about Elizabeth and the immense lines of population that filled that particular area, and I know nothing about New Jersey. And I watched them from 12 on, then in highlight pieces. Then at 6 p.m., they flipped to a different location, which I'm doing first, only because it's the piece for the law enforcement that are relied upon to keep other things safe. And I know that there's this, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like WWE, WWF between like The Rock and like Stone Cold Steve Austin per se, or John Cena, or one of the Undertaker or whatever. Like there's like big like rawr, like arguments that go on between law enforcement and the public, but I don't want to partake in that. And there are fewer of the law enforcement agents than there are of the public. So that's a concern on prioritize. For me anyway.
Cranmore is live in Rochelle Park tonight with more. Crystal.
Good afternoon, Liz. Well, we've seen some people come to the Ascend Cannabis Dispensary to buy recreational marijuana from New York, where it's not yet legal to buy recreational marijuana. What does it mean for them when they head back to the city? Well, we spoke with a lawyer as well as local law enforcement. But even at this hour, people are still trickling in to buy pot, as you mentioned, some for the very first time.
Now, I find it interesting in my flowerness of being by myself at the moment, that they picked Rochelle Park. So it's the rock, or the rock, spelled this way, but it's also hell at the park. It's a Hellenistic genetic reemergence, if you believe in reincarnation, or if you believe that they know about things years in advance from the gods, then that would make sense.
This is years in the making.
The cash registers at Ascend Cannabis Dispensary in Rochelle Park lit up Thursday,
We've already seen hundreds of people in the first few hours.
as anxious customers bought recreational marijuana legally for the first time in New Jersey.
I had to go out to Colorado to do business 8 years ago, since that was the only place. And here we are, close to home. It's very exciting.
One of 13 in the Garden State now licensed to sell recreational marijuana. This dispensary more than tripled its staff in preparation for its new customers.
A lot of bringing people on, a lot of training.
All while making sure their medical marijuana patients don't get lost in the weeds.
We have, a medical-only express lane that they can come in without an appointment.
New Yorkers rolled in for a piece of the action. Federal law prevents them from crossing the border with the drug.
Could federal agents enforce trafficking it across the borders?
Now, this I found interesting. I've never seen this before. Next to his attorney has Foley and Hoeg. I was like, that's interesting. Again, I'm not kept up to the speed of the participating members like this. They know far more than I do, but their pieces are important.
Certainly could, but the question is, who are they going to use to enforce? Local law enforcement, local police departments, and those are the same departments who are saying this is a decriminalized product.
Westchester County Police tells Eyewitness News they won't ask drivers where they bought the marijuana. Back in New Jersey, the milestone day not lost on anyone.
This is going to be a big industry in this.
I just wanted to make note of his whatever.
State.
Including Governor Murphy, who has pledged to undo the disproportionate harm marijuana criminalization has done to black and brown communities.
Equity sort of is the central element in everything associated with this industry, including the look back on expungements.
And the CRC says, of course, that tax revenue will be reinvested into those communities that have been disproportionately impacted by marijuana prohibition. For now, we're live in Rochelle Park. Crystal Franmore, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
A big day there to be sure, Crystal. Thank you. Now to the weather. Lots of sun.
Okay, this was the noon marking of this, and it starts off in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
New Governor Phil Murphy calls it a historic step. Recreational marijuana sales in New Jersey are officially legal.
State regulators green-lighted permits for 7 facilities in the Garden State to begin selling recreational cannabis. These are sites that already sell it to medically approved customers.
We have team coverage of this big step. Derek Waller has reaction from customers, but we begin with New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson. He is live in Elizabeth. Anthony.
Yeah, Charlene and David, the good news to report at noon, the line is getting a little bit shorter, but I do want you to notice there are munchies up here for many of the customers that have been waiting out here. I've seen a number of people out here and lawn chairs just to let you see how long the wait is out here. At one time, the wait to get inside of the store was 2 hours long. The parking lot is completely filled, so you can see a lot of activity out here today. This is like trying to get into the Great Adventure Park, and certainly this is a new great adventure for the for everybody here in the state of New Jersey. This is the day that many have wanted for a long time.
All right, yes.
Inside the store, the aisles are filled with customers who are having their first experience buying recreational weed legally. But even users of medical marijuana are on hand to share in what has been called an historic day.
Making a recreational purchase was important because to me that this is years of progress and change and the beginning of amazing things to come for the state.
The opening of the Zen Leaf store here in Elizabeth for adult use was a major achievement for political leaders who acknowledged this day was long in coming since voters approved recreational sales back in November of 2020.
While this task could not happen overnight, the overriding need was to ensure our industry can stand as a model for other states in the nation, not just in ensuring racial, social, and economic equity and justice, but in ensuring a viable long-term framework for the industry.
Many of the customers applauded the political leaders for making this day possible. But with such a massive turnout, some worried about supply. But company leaders say they are more than ready to meet the demand.
We have plenty of supply to service the folks here today and throughout the state of New Jersey.
Now, officials are already predicting that this could bring in about $2 billion in sales tax revenue from the sales of recreational marijuana here in the state of New Jersey. The reason that you see this long line out here today is the novelty of it all. A lot of people wanted to be out here on what they call an historic day, but the folks out here tell us in the days to come, the weeks to come, you probably won't see lines like this. And as far as buying medical marijuana here at the stores, the first hour and the last hour of the day dedicated only to medical sales. So they will extend the hours from today forward, but they expect to have a lot of customers coming in and out of these stores over the next few days.
I know those numbers and figures for the business office are always important, but over here, for me, is symbology. Is more important, but there you have it. So, it's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, for this Mount Rushmore kid that belongs to a hummingbird, but, again, with the way things have been moving and things being overlooked. I'm in Empire State, Big Apple, and it's state of New York for local-ish things. Again, it's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken.